name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one turn.
Number 10, Marketa Vondrousova. Number 9, Sloane Stephens. Number 8, Beatrice Haddad-Meyer. Number 7, Yelena Ostapenko. Number 6, Madison Keys. Number 5, Danielle Collins. Number 4, Coco Gauff. Number 3, Elena Rybakina. Number 2, Arina Sabalenka. And number 1, Iga Swiatek.
Ready? Play.
Well, hello there, and welcome to WTA Weekly. Hope you liked a little bit of a reminder of my power rankings for Roland Garros in there. Let's face it, the number one choice was the obvious choice, and it worked out that way. So I'm putting that there as a reminder that is going to be something that I'm going to be doing for Wimbledon as well. I'm going to be doing 2 power rankings. One before Berlin and one after Berlin and during Eastbourne, to let everyone know how I'm thinking the field is shaping up for Wimbledon. So we might touch a little bit on Wimbledon favourites on this show, but if you want to know a full rundown of who's looking good, that's coming later in the week. But enough about me. Let's have a look at Miles David. Miles, how you doing?
Hey, Nick. Happy to see you. Happy to be back on Talking Tennis, and more specifically WTA Weekly. It's one of my favorite parts of the internet, so I'm happy to be here and talking tennis with you.
I'm loving it, Miles. I'm loving being on with you as well. And I think you're on, I think this is almost the perfect show for you, given who we're going to be talking about today. Good morning, Ghosty. Lovely to have you on board with us. Hopefully you've not missed too much of the results from today. Although having said that, we haven't been had too many results of a final. I say in the middle of the final. We are in the deciding set of the Nottingham Open final between Karolina Pliskova and Katie Boulter, which has had to deal with a lot of rain, as all the tournaments have this week on the ATP and the WTA side. A lot of rain. And so at the point they've had to play both semi-finals, and they're in the middle of the final right now at 10 past 7 UK time. Obviously, good morning to those of you in America. Currently in the middle of a deciding set, so we'll update you as and when that's completed. Currently fairly tight at the minute, Miles. But so far, both they're putting on a show for the crowd.
Yeah, I think it's a deserving way for the final day of tennis in Nottingham to happen, even though throughout the whole week of tennis I've wanted a very ginormous umbrella to go over all of England. And I actually want that umbrella to extend for the next 3 weeks so we can get through Wimbledon. But at least Wimbledon has 2 covered courts, so we're going to be at least fine for the big names to complete their matches. But yeah, this week has been tough, especially in Nottingham with the delays, but all things considered, I think if I was a ticket holder in Nottingham, I'd be fine with this final.
Fine. I think so too. Let's face it, you've got your British number one against another former Nottingham champion from back in 2016 and of course a Wimbledon finalist. So, you know, some decent names in there. Maybe it's not quite the Ons Jabeur Emma Raducanu final they were all hoping for, but it's the second best thing.
And speaking of Wimbledon, I guess to kind of make it all come full circle, I specifically remember Katie Boulter upsetting Pliskova at Wimbledon either last year or the year before that.
Yeah, she has done. I forget which year it was, but you're absolutely right. She has done that exact thing, Katie Boulter. So yeah, these two definitely have a history.
Yeah.
So we may well be distracted during this show.
Well, I'm just watching the score. I don't have any parts or bits of the actual
Okay.
match up.
I
Because
have it on.
because another tournament has kind of made me a little bit sad. So I need a little mini break from grass court tennis at the moment.
Yes, maybe we should start. Maybe we should just pull the band-aid and start talking about the other tournament. Rip that band-aid. Thank you, Sean, for confirming it is 2022.
2022, yeah, and Pliskova was a defending finalist there, so that was a big upset for Bolter.
Yeah, so let's go to the other tournament. Now, I do have a Dutch friend. I should have checked with him before trying to say the name of the tournament. I think it's Gothenbosch. Apparently, if you're English, you can get away with just calling it Den Bosch. Or you could call it Rosmalen.
Yeah, it's the tournament with like 17 different names. Because I've been watching that tournament for a very, very long time, and I've always called it Sertagenbosch. But apparently, that's not it either. But that would also track for my.
I really should have checked with my Dutch friend before coming on the show. Oh well. Next time, Nick, do your research. Whatever the name of the tournament.
Wait, is Talon Griekspoor a friend of the show yet? We can ask him when he becomes a friend of the show.
I believe it's actually Griekspoor. You pronounce his surname.
like Van der Schanschloop. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah,
we can phone it. We can Van der Schanschloop. We can phone him in.
Yeah, basically, if you're trying to sort of say Dutch names, you have to make a lot of sounds.
And that's just not in my throat region, I guess. I don't know. Anywho, that was a really great tournament. It was a really, really good watch in between the rain.
It was for a lot of reasons. Probably some of those reasons, as I've just seen Bolter hit a massive backhand up the line to win for a winner and to claim that game. But one of the reasons being, of course, Ludmila Samsonova is the champion, and I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time on Samsonova's day, but I don't think it's a huge surprise that she's won a grass court tournament.
Yeah, she's won Berlin in 2021 leading up to Wimbledon, and that didn't really parlay into much in that Wimbledon. And I have a safe bet.
The fourth round.
Yeah, but it wasn't a quarterfinal. Granted,
she lost. It was relatively close, I thought. Or like there were two. Who did she lose to?
I think she lost. Did she lose to Pliskova?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, because Pliskova got to the final that year. Wow, we're like we're like WTA historians. I just would not be. Although I'm happy for her, but I've kind of put Samsonova in the category of WTA Tour successful player. Like I believe she has a 500 to her name in Berlin. She has a couple of 250s, which is like obviously as a professional you want to be winning tournaments, but I do not see her as the player that deals with the biggest moments, and you can't get much bigger than Wimbledon. So yes, she won Sertagenbosch, or she won the tournament in the Netherlands. And
the Dutch Open. Why didn't they just call it the Dutch Open?
The Dutch Open. The Dutch Open. She won that as she rightfully so, especially doing double duty, having to finish her semifinal and go back and play a final. Like hats off to any player that does that, specifically to Samsonova. But she'd be like maybe 12, 11, maybe 10 in my own personal power rankings, because we know she has the game on grass. Her style of play can actually blend very well with the grass, which is lovely to see, but it's between the ears and experience with her. And time again, when she's kind of had these big moments ahead of slams, it doesn't really result in her even getting to the final 8. So yeah, good for her though. Sorry to put a damper on her parade.
I mean, look, case in point, that US Open in 2022, where she's been in pole position to make the quarters.
Exactly.
Got tight. And she got she did definitely get tight in that final a little bit, although the final, today's final, that being said, I think when she's on, she's really on. And I think she's definitely a streaky player. She's one of those players that she'll have an on week, and then she'll have an on week and then be anonymous for pretty much most of the rest of the year, but she'll rack up a couple of titles along the way. Other players with probably a bit more impressive Grand Slam CVs coming to mind who are similar are Petra Kvitova and Yelena Ostapenko. And there's probably a few other people out there like that. But Samsonova,
I think there's a belief factor in like maybe it's a popular buzzword of what's that syndrome people talk about all the time? I hear imposter syndrome that kind of comes about when like the precipice of a big moment is there for her, and even the big moment for other players, it might not be that big, but getting to a quarterfinal for her at this stage of her career would be huge because she's never done it, and I think some of that really plays into her mind, especially when she comes in with obvious results on the surface that the Grand Slam is being played on. So good win for her, all things considered, but still work to do between the ears for Samsonova, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, another candidate for has good weeks, but they're not. But most of the time doesn't. Is actually probably the other person who's playing right now, Pliskova.
Yeah, Pliskova has been. Pliskova has been a great WTA Tour player. I think she has her fair share of WTA 1000s, 500s, and 2 Grand Slam finals to show for it, and a world number one amidst a very rocky 2017 season where everybody got to world number one, it seemed. But yeah, I would agree. It's similar when it really feels like the gate of opportunity has opened. Pliskova hasn't necessarily walked through that gate with brimming confidence. So we'll see what happens to both of those players. But similar, their games, like their game styles, kind of like what they naturally bring to the court. Grass loves it, and I think they love the grass. The really easy, fluid shot production, great serves, great ability to kind of get their shots into corners and make it difficult for their opponents. All of that is so all of that is just easier and just is more successful on grass. It's just sometimes it requires a little bit more than that. Because if it was that easy, Samsonova and Pliskova would both be Wimbledon champions, maybe more than once by this point, but they're neither. So
yeah. Well, I think there's probably also more than one way to win on grass as well. Which
yes, there is.
We will talk about, and I think actually it segues very nicely into the fact that, let's be honest, although no offense to Samsonova, but this week the biggest story is actually, well, the story this week is it's actually a very good week to be a former US Open champion.
It is.
with Iga Swiatek getting to see Taylor Swift. With I am putting that in there. Reaching the semi-finals of Nottingham. Reaching the semi-finals of Nottingham. Naomi Osaka reaching the quarterfinals in the Netherlands and losing into probably will go down as one of the matches of the week, if not the match of the week, to the eventual finalist there, Bianca Andreescu.
That was a great little sneak in there for being an Iga Swiatek fan. I mean, that was wonderful. It's like, that was just so great. I think it was a great week. It's so funny, and I love when like symmetry happens in tennis, and like there's a reference point that a bunch of different players can fall under, and they all have success that week. And being a U.S. Open champion was it this week with Osaka showing some major strides on the grass. Obviously, Andreescu getting to her first final in. I don't think she's made a final of a tournament since 2021. I do not believe. So that's a big stride.
2022. I think she got to the.
She got the Bad Homburg.
Bad Homburg against Garcia. 2022.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she
lost from a setup there as well.
So yeah, there's something going on there, but that also tells me that she knows her way around a grass court. It's just a matter of being healthy and fit and committed to the process. And also similar to somebody else we'll get on to talk to, Raducanu, they similarly have like the issue of being healthy, committed to the process, and being on court long enough to kind of showcase what the style and the performance abilities that they have that have got them the U.S. Open trophies that they have. But it was so fun watching Andreescu play in Nottingham this week. Not Nottingham. Sorry, the Netherlands. It was really fun watching her play. And I don't know. I'm giving, if anybody's listening to this and can like put a microphone in Bianca's face, or not in her face, but close to her line of vision, I would love to know why she switched rackets to the head extreme that's also used by or endorsed by Krejcikova and Matteo Berrettini, because she used to use the head speed. And I personally haven't seen her answer that question, and I'd love to see why she switched. Because I mean, she literally started playing tennis this season. Was it the week before Roland Garros, or was it actually Roland Garros? It was actually Roland Garros, and she's won. She got to the third round of Roland Garros, and now she's gotten to a final. So, like, in that very, very small amount of time, clearly something's working. I mean, it hasn't gotten her the best results, because the best results would have been a Roland Garros champion and a Netherlands champion, but still, there's positives to come from that. And I am a proponent for sometimes switching gear having something to do with success. So I would definitely ask her what went into the change, if it was something huge, or if she just kind of talked to her sponsor and was like, "Hey, let's try this." Because sometimes it's simple and sometimes it's intentional. So I'd love to see what happened.
Making racket switches is quite significant for a player as well, because there's a lot of adjusting to do. But clearly she's had to have time off court to do that. And it seems to be working, as you said. I mean, like, she outperformed expectations at Roland Garros, getting to the third round. Here she did so well. And I actually have a lot of notes on Andreescu. We may be discussing her for quite a portion of this show. But to me, it looks like with this new racket, she looks confident for the first time in 2 or 3 years in hitting that ball.
I'd say since 2019, really.
Really? That far back?
Yeah, because 2021, it was such a weird year amidst what was going on with the pandemic. She showed spurts of it, but she still showed like, oh wait, it felt like she was playing with expectations that were too much for her to handle. And I think she said as much. And 2022 was a little bit of the same, and 2023 was kind of marred with injury. So I really haven't seen her swing freely, be very engaged in a match. Maybe the 2023 French Open match she played against Azarenka, but I also heard her say that if she's playing a player that she knows is either highly ranked or has a decorated resume, she subconsciously brings her best level, which I think is a wonderful thing to do as an athlete, because that's what you're kind of supposed to do. You're supposed to elevate yourself for the biggest moments. I just wish we saw that in the moments where she's playing matches against players she quote unquote should be beating. And today, up a set against Samsonova, it was a match she should have won, but then some old demons in her career kind of came back to bite. Like, she had to go off court to take a medical timeout. Although she came back onto the court jogging, she did have a really, really heavy taping on her thigh. I didn't see what may have caused it, but like, that's kind of been the story with Andreescu. Plays really, really good tennis, gets you engaged, gets me specifically engaged, and then there's a little bit of a stubborn health issue that kind of slows down the tremendous progress. So all of that was literally all of that was on display in the final. And then she commenced it with a really, really beautiful runners-up speech that I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, I think it's a good week to be an Andreescu fan. It was a good week for me. I wish we would have had the trophy that she wanted, but 4 match wins in a row, beating Osaka, and was that
that was probably the biggest name that she beat?
That was Did she go after Osaka? Who did she beat after Osaka?
Golfi.
Oh, it was Osaka, then immediately Golfi. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Golfi play. So, but either way you slice it, 4 wins to get to a WTA 250 final from whence Bianca came. That's a good week. You chop it up as a good week. Yeah.
I have to say, I forgot how much I enjoy watching Bianca Andreescu play until I watched her this week. I watched her against Osaka, watched against in the final against Samsonova. She's always fantastic. I don't know how she gets a racket on every ball against someone who hits as hard like Osaka and Samsonova, and she gets it back and she spins it back into play. And she's she fights for every point, which is fantastic to see. Again, reminds me of her fellow Canadian Leila Fernandez in some ways.
Mhm.
The fact that she goes 3 sets so many times, I mean, okay, that's down to her level kind of fluctuating up and down throughout a match. I think that's something that's never going to go away with her. We even saw that in 2019 when she was having a year where she was either winning titles or retiring.
Or beating Serena Williams. That didn't go 3 sets, but whatever.
No, that didn't go 3. Could have gone 3.
Should have gone 3, but I'm not bitter.
Do you know what,
I'm
Miles?
not
I've
bitter.
never actually seen that match.
As I'm not actually bitter, so don't take this bit and run with it. But the bitter Serena fan in me is completely fine with that. You're not missing much.
Okay, fantastic. I will take note because that's one of the reasons why I've never bothered to go back.
Yeah, it was a hard watch
For them but then her level does fluctuate a lot during matches, but the fact it goes 3 sets means you're always in for an entertaining match with Bianca. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. I love watching her. And I don't know if that's the same reasons why you love watching her as well.
Yeah, like to Swarner's comment here on the screen, Andreescu is a complete player. She does everything pretty well. Like, you're going to get the essence of what tennis is every time you watch her. You're going to see her like in one game, you can get an ace, a slice, a drop shot, a backhand lob, a forehand winner, and like a passing shot running forehand down the line. Like, you get all of that in a span of maybe a game or 2 games with Bianca Andreescu. And that's, from an entertainment value, what more could you ask for? It's just really hard to kind of bottle all of that up, it seems, and produce it not even just week to week, but set to set, because she can do it all, like, and I think it just naturally comes off of her wrist and hands and into the racket. It's like she has like this magic thing, but unfortunately the magic is like sputtering most times. It's not consistent staying power magic, like the fact that what Swiatek has when her feet touches a clay court, especially at Roland Garros, like that sustainable magic that she can guarantee that she knows she's going to play her best, even in compromising situations like being match point down against Osaka. Bianca's magic just is a little bit too much. It's like like, you ever had a really good candle? I'm really good at stories like this. You ever had a really good candle, like, it smells good, but it doesn't light the way you want it? Like, something happened either in the warehouse or the functioning of it, but the wick is just not perfect enough to get you a completely room-filling smell. That's how it feels like with Bianca Andreescu. Like, it smells good. It is good. It's a great candle, but the wick is just not perfect enough to give you a complete and stable burn all the time. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head.
It does make sense. I'm not a candles guy. I was given 3 or 4 candles as a housewarming present 2 years ago, and I still haven't used any of them. So, but hopefully that analogy has not gone over the head of some of our other viewers or listeners, if you are listening back on the podcast. But I guess with your kind of talking about, so that it sputters, it's sometimes her level. Is that to do with her mental management of a match, or is that due to maybe her body not always being healthy and so not letting her properly swing through?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think her body and her mind kind of gets ahead of itself in a way. Like, because you said something earlier, like she gets to shots from the biggest hitters that she really shouldn't. Sometimes I think she kind of shocks herself. It's like, wow, like, I really am out here being a really damn good tennis player. And then like, sometimes I can imagine if you're in that situation, being a 20 something, your mind just goes somewhere. Maybe you're thinking of how like you are going to pose with the fans afterwards, or with the trophy, and just that little split second of not being focused on the task at hand, you drop a set, or you're down a break, and then from there kind of you're always playing catch up. And then on top of that, maybe she overextends herself physically because of the mental lapses and not being focused. Like if you're not 100% focused on the task at hand, you're going to play catch up, and you're the only person out there. You can't pass the ball. You can't. It's not doubles. You can't ask your opponent to do most of the running. And before you know it, you have extra miles on your legs, your back, your arm, and all of that can lead to physical issues. So it's a mixture of all of that with Andrescu. I just hope it levels out at some point. I feel like it has to, you know. Well,
Yeah. I guess with Andrescu and that situation, when you're talking about, does the men having to put kind of push through the mental barrier mean she's pushing the physical barrier? Are there any other players who you think suffer from that problem?
Raducanu isn't too far away. I'm not sure.
I don't know how much of her problem's mental though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly what I was gonna say. I don't know how much of it is mental. She's tough to read on a tennis court, which I think can be good. But what's not tough to read is that her body can be kind of fragile. I hate to use that word because it is a little harsh, but I mean, it's pretty evident in her track record now that her body doesn't hold up to the rigors of week in week out tennis. Even set to set tennis can be difficult for her body, and that part I definitely see the correlation between Andrescu and Raducanu very strikingly. The mental part I can't quite put a finger on it because I'm not sure about Raducanu's mentality at all, actually, in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I think Raducanu more times than not is locked into a match, and she is pretty determined to win the match that's in front of her. I think her main problem is sometimes maintaining the level required to do that. Maybe and then maybe it's more physical than mental with Raducanu because I don't think I've watched any, or at least very, very few Raducanu matches where she's completely mentally checked out.
I think there's been a couple where she just looked like I'd rather be anywhere else. I think Kostruk got a couple of wins over her, or one win over her, where she just checked out. But for the most part, I agree. She does look locked in. She's an enigma, and unfortunately, people can say I've made some digs at her on social media and stuff like that. She makes it easy sometimes with some of her scheduling decisions and stuff like that. But I don't. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know where she goes. Like, I know this was a good week for her getting to the semifinals of a 250, but she's done that before, and she was mere points away, a set away from getting to a final on the WTA tour, something she hasn't done since the US Open final she won. I feel like that would have been bigger, but still, we stand now. She's made the semis of a 250 on grass. So that decision that she made to skip Roland Garros qualifying kind of paid off, but also not really because she didn't even get to the final. She put on a good show, but she didn't get to the final. So it's somewhere in the middle. And that's ultimately where I find myself with Raducanu, is somewhere in the middle. Part of me wants to believe that she'll kind of level out and her body will adjust to the demands of the tour, and we'll see that high performance level that we saw at the US Open in 2021. But the other part of me is just like, well, maybe this is what is going to be expected from her career. It's kind of going to be up and down, and we'll see spurts of what got her to getting hands on a US Open trophy, and then sometimes it'll look like a player that's outside the top 100. So, yeah.
Little bit of an update, by the way. Katie Bolter went 5-1 up, served for the match in the decider, and Pliskova broke back to 30. So, not quite over the line yet to defend her title, Katie Bolter, and maybe needs to steady herself over there. I do want to go a bit more depth into Raducanu, but I guess for me, what I wanted to ask about to finish off with Andrescu was more about, we were talking earlier, and this is why I was kind of, to tie everything in the big bow, because I was referring to her as a grass court player. To me, her game works really, really well on grass, or at least she seems one of the players who's best able to adapt to the low bounce. And obviously her creativity, her slicing, that's going to work really well on the surface as well. And that was obviously evidenced by her going really close with on Jabeur at Wimbledon last year, which is another match I think she really showed up for, but couldn't quite get over the line.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. Sort of how confident are you about Bianca Andreescu's potential on grass?
I see it. I love the dynamics of how different grass can suit different play styles, because you saw it just in the final she played with Samsonova. Samsonova pretty much only has one way to be successful on a tennis court, and that is big hitting, and that is completely how you can win a bunch of matches on a grass court. But on the flip side of that, you can make your opponent very, very frustrated, like Bianca did Naomi in that quarterfinal match, with being tricky and and putting a lot of variety in your game, a la Ons Jabeur, which is why she's made back-to-back Wimbledon finals. Like, even though the grass doesn't play like it used to, like in the John McEnroe, Mats Wielander days, where the the grass was more brown to the net than it was like it is now in the baseline. A slice can still do damage on that surface. Barty showed it when she won Wimbledon in 2021. A bunch of other players have shown it. Like, a slice and a low center of gravity can still cause havoc for your opponent across the net. And Bianca Andreescu has both of those things. She's always kind of stayed low to the ground in her shot production. And when she wants to, she can throw in a really nasty slice off both wings, forehand and backhand, and drop shots. And all of that combined, being scrappy and versatile, is a method of success on grass, just as it is as being a 1-2 punch player. So I enjoyed watching that difference of style of play.
So I guess that sounds very similar to someone who did win Wimbledon, Angie Kerber.
Yes. Why do you always put me in a position to have to give accolades to players I don't like to, Nick?
Welcome to the WTA Weekly. I'm going to keep doing this to you.
But yes, that's exactly why she's been successful at Wimbledon, because she redirects pace, she gets every ball back, and she has a low center of gravity. She just makes playing her incredibly annoying. So yeah, that's why she's had success there.
I tell you what, 2016 to 2018 must have been a tough few years for you as a tennis fan. Right from that 2016 Australian Open, probably up until the 2018 US Open, which was probably mixed given you were a Serena fan, but Naomi Osaka was cool.
Yeah, you put it correctly. Like, there were some highs in 2016 and 2018, or 2016 and 2018, and there were definitely some I want to scream into my pillow lows. Yes,
I'm including 2017 in there as well.
Oh yeah, I know. I was upset. I mean, this is not on topic, but kind of is. I was very, very happy. I was on top of the world at the end of Australian Open 2017, and then Serena made her announcement, and I was like, well, where do we go from here? So those were two feelings. And then on top of that, Venus's success throughout that season, but didn't culminate to the championship trophy. So yes,
I was so gutted for her she didn't win a title that year. Like, she was so close so many times.
You're telling me. I mean, literally, 2027 isn't that far away in the grand scheme of things, and we're still talking about it. So yeah, it stings. It stings.
2027, you mean 2017?
Isn't that crazy?
Venus is going to be. You're saying Venus is going to be big in 3 years?
No. I'm saying it's still going to sting in 3 years, and it's still probably going to be something that people bring up. I don't think Venus is still going to be on the tour in 2027, but I digress.
So I don't think it's that crazy that Miles is an Osaka fan.
I mean, it's crazy if Miles became an Osaka fan or Serena fan when Osaka beats Serena. You know what? I don't actually. I do know. I was gonna say I don't remember when I became an Osaka fan, but I do remember vividly watching her Indian Wells run in 2018, and that had nothing to do with Serena. So I was a fan then, and I enjoyed the way she played tennis. Watching that US Open final and then the preceding matches that Osaka played against Serena was very awkward, because, like, in a way, I was okay with whoever won, but also I wasn't, because I wanted Serena to win. But
Update, by the way, Katie Bolter has a second match point. Pliskova saved the first. I think Vanessa may have seen it before we have, but for the live broadcast, but we're just going to show here. We've got a great return from Bolter, which is miscued by Pliskova on the backhand, and Katie Bolter is a 2-time Nottingham Open champion. She wins 4-6, 6-3, 6-2. She was a breakup in the first set. She probably should have got that done in straights, but she was looking very, very good today.
Can I be extra happy and say that I'm happy that Pliskova didn't win that title? Sorry, Pliskova fans, if you're in the conversation.
The first time Pliskova's lost a match at Nottingham.
Oh, well.
He was unbeaten.
I am happy that she made the final. Actually, I'm not, because I wanted it to be Diane Perry in the final. Diane Perry. Yeah,
for different reasons.
I want it to be a Perry party, and not just because I'm not a Pliskova fan, but because as I watched Perry a little bit this week, it dawned on me that I don't know where women that were coming up like in the 2000s or how it got lost in translation, but there were huge glaring examples of how successful you can be with a one-handed backhand. I mean, we have Maresmo Grand Slam champion, Justine Inna Grand Slam champion, Francesca Schiavone Grand Slam champion and finalist, like Carlos Suarez Navarro, top 10 player. Those are all noticeable names that had really strong one-handed backhands, but somehow none of that trickled down to like the current generation of WTA players, except for Diane Perry. And I just would like to see a little bit more of, just for aesthetic reasons. Like I can see why having a two-handed backhand in today's version of tennis is much more advantageous. Like, don't get me wrong, I can see that. But just for aesthetic reasons, I would like to have somebody thrown in the mix that has a one-hander, because on the ATP side, you have that availability to watch a one-hander kind of do its thing. And you've had it for quite a while. So on the WTA side, it's been some years since we've seen that.
Again, to annoy a Serena fan, it's surprising you say that, given she was driven mad by a certain one-hander in the 2000s.
Yes, but Serena got her licks back when it was appropriate. She certainly did. And for that, I'm fine.
But yes, I agree with you. Like, I love watching Diane Perry. I think I've realized she's now in my top 3 favorite players to watch, along with Swiatek and Fernandez.
Oh, really? She jumped up that high to you? Wow.
Yeah, I love her topspin forehand, and I love the one-handed backhand. Absolutely brilliant to watch. Just dream tennis for me. So I would have loved to see her do well and make the final for that reason. But yes, this is why I knew. But it's interesting to know that you like her for similar reasons, Miles, and not just because my comment about 2016 to 2018 was actually not just about Kerr, but it was also about, we were seeing Pliskova and Halep at the same time.
Yeah, and I cannot say any of those names of which you just mentioned are people I would put posters up of on my wall. I cannot say that. But
someone who you would put a poster up on your wall.
Who's that?
Naomi Osaka.
Yes. Yes.
We're gonna round up Den Bosch, and then we'll go back to Nottingham and talk about Katie Bolter.
Because one other player I want to mention, before we do that, we can mention Naomi Osaka. I am extremely proud of her, and I made a comment on her Instagram page on her latest post, something to the effect of, I'm really, really proud of the fact that, like, on this comeback, it seems like she's building everything brick by brick. And sooner or later, when the house is fully formed, they're going to be scared of her again. And I think, like, bear with me here. I know a lot of it been made of like the intimidation factor Serena had in the locker room when she was really at her prime. I think Osaka touched just a sniff of that for a while. And I think if she really, like I said, keeps putting the blocks together and brick by brick, I think she can get that back, especially if she does damage on a hard court. But even more so if she shows, like she showed the past 2 weeks, that she can take that same game that has gotten her 4 hard court titles to a clay court or a grass court. And if she does all of that, and I think that makes her an intimidating force on WTA tour again. And then it's just been fun to watch. It's been a little bit it's bittersweet because she hasn't walked to the net so many times as the winner of some of these tough matches. But I hopefully think, and trying to spin it into a positive, I think that's going to make the really big breakthroughs all the more sweeter. So yeah, I was even though she lost that match against Andreescu, she beat Elisa Mertens on grass, which was a really, really good win. And that was her first match on grass since 2019. Like, she hadn't touched a grass court pre-pandemic, which is a long time. And she beat Elise Mertens, who's been a consistent top 30 player pretty much all of her life. So that was really, really good. And she gave Andreescu a lot to handle. And we got a rematch of their iconic quarterfinal in Beijing back in 2019. So yeah, a lot of positives to come from the Osaka camp. If I was in her ear, I'd be making sure that she knows that she's well on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, look, she wasn't that far off winning that match against Andreescu. It's just that I think at the end, Osaka started overhitting a little bit, started rushing things, made a few too many unforced errors, and Andreescu was just a bit more solid and again used her game to kind of run down everything Osaka threw at her, as we were talking about before, and frustrating her. And she wasn't making many mistakes. Like Andreescu played really, really well in that match. And I think those two playing each other in the future is always going to be fun. So tough loss for Osaka. Maybe she could have got herself, if she'd gone the other way, she could have found herself in the final playing Samsonova, and maybe things may have gone to do it differently.
Mhm.
But it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. But then I guess with that ifs, buts, and maybes, how excited should we be about Grasaka?
I'm not excited about that nickname. I can tell you that much. For some reason, it doesn't have the same effect as Cleome. But I am excited about the prospect of seeing her on center court hitting down the tee serve the best way I know she can. So I'm excited about that. I really hope that she gets a draw that she can work with, or she gets a draw where she gets a seed. I've been doing this since Serena in 2022, but I don't think it's a terribly bad idea if you get a draw where it's like, oh, you're close to a top seed, but maybe that top seed isn't in the best of form. Like, let's say she gets, I don't know, who am I going to throw under the bus at the moment? Let's say she gets Griezmann in first round of Wimbledon, right? Sorry, Griezmann, and she's a great player. That would be a tough match because they're all tough matches on the WTA, but that should be a match that Osaka wins, right? But her next match is Maria Sakkari. That would be a seed who's probably going to be top 8 that has not been in great form and has not shown tremendous amount of success on grass. I would be okay with that draw. I wouldn't be okay with the kind of draw Osaka had at Roland Garros happening again in Wimbledon. Like that wouldn't be fun. But a top 10 seed that's in okay-ish form, I'd be okay with Osaka getting that, and I'd love to see how that moment plays out for her on Wimbledon. I feel like that'd be great.
Yeah, I think her game has a lot of potential on grass.
It always has. It really has.
Yeah. It's been the movement she's struggled with more than anything else, right?
She said as much. I believe she said it to our talking tennis microphones.
Okay.
She said in a way that like clay is physical too, but also so is grass, because you really have to work your way out of the corners, because once you're stuck in a corner, you're stuck and the point is over. But if you want to continue that point, you have to kind of dig in a different way than clay. And I think she explained that in a press conference to our producer, or to our leader at Talking Tennis, who was in the Netherlands. So yeah, I think she's
I have a portrait of him on the wall behind me.
I think she's aware of. I think that's a good way to put it. Actually, I think she's aware of just things, and I think before the pregnancy break, she was almost too aware of things around her, and it was really causing like things to just derail themselves and thinking too much. But I think she's aware but at peace with a bunch of things that are in her game and in her life right now. That's just awesome to see. I literally can't wait to see her lift the trophy again, regardless of where it is. I can't wait to see her lift the trophy. It'll be a beautiful thing to see.
It might not be that far off.
Oh, you're saying she's the Wimbledon champion? Great, let's go with it.
I mean, it's not implausible. I think US Open is probably more likely, but
Yeah.
but like that. Here's the thing, right? Osaka, and then we don't necessarily want to go back over too much the Swiatek match of Roland Garros, but
it's fine, Nick. You can do that. You can totally gloat. It's fine.
I'm not here to gloat this time. We've done that. With that match, Osaka obviously was the victim of a eager comeback. So was Danielle Collins in Australia. And then Danielle Collins turned it on sort of from the Miami onwards, but like you could see that she was getting there. Like she went to the quarterfinals in Doha.
I'm following you.
And Naomi Osaka's come straight back out and got a couple of good wins on grass and only lost to in a tough match with another tough match with a Grand Slam champion. Seems only Grand Slam champions can take her down right now. It's maybe too early to suggest there's a pattern, but does that give us a little bit of hope that we could have a Collins style surge from Osaka?
Oh yes, if she
like the US hard courts anyway.
Yeah, if she plays her cards right, because it's so tricky with that damn Olympics. I love the Olympics. I'm excited about it. I'm not excited that they have to go right back to Roland Garros, a place that I don't love personally. But if she times it right and maybe she has a decent run at Olympics and finds time to get back on the hard courts that she knows that she likes and just kind of gives her confidence from the moment that she steps on them, I would not want to be in her way come Cincinnati, Montreal, or the US Open or anything that she decides to play. If she wants to go like the lower route, because they're not, I shouldn't say lower, but if she wants to, I actually don't know if she would avoid the 1000s, but there are some 500s that she could play. I mean, there's a 500 in Mexico the week before the US Open, also a 250 in Cleveland that she may want to play. I'm not sure. And then she would probably have to skip the Olympics to play this 500, but there's also the WTA 500 in DC. So there's yeah, it's the same week. So yeah, I don't think she'll be playing. I don't think she'll be playing. I think she's definitely going to go to the Olympics, even if
she's confirmed to the Talking Heads microphones that she's going to the Olympics.
She has, yeah. Even if that means she doesn't medal or doesn't go far, I think it just means, for me personally, I think it just means something to say, hey, I was an Olympian and I qualified to do that and represent my country. I know it's not like the biggest thing in the world, but it's something you can hang your hat on. But all of that to say, I hope she finds enough rest and enough time to kind of find the surge that I want to see on the hard courts, because my gosh, I would not want to be anywhere around her if Osaka is surging. Nobody should.
I could see that happening. Like, I completely see this happening. That match with Iga kind of confirmed it in my mind. And actually, Ghost of Gerolitis in the chat on the live broadcast is asking, how
That's
confident are we that Osaka will actually get another major? I'm actually pretty confident that we're going to see that happen. And I think it's going to be a very highly competitive US Open, because there's like two or three or four, five other players who I think are very much in the mix for this year's US Open. But Osaka is going to be one of them.
Yeah, I feel it in my bones. I wouldn't say like I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 to say that she's going to win another major, because you never know. Like, we've seen it many times before. There's been players that we just knew were going to be major champions and ended up being very far from it, So it's sports. But personally, if you're asking me, Miles David, I feel it in my bones that Osaka's going to win another Grand Slam title. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I think she's too good not to, really. And she's growing in confidence. And when she grows in confidence, suddenly we're going to have to expand the top of the game to include her.
I want her back in the top 10. I really do. I want Osaka and Andreescu in the top 10.
I've been trying to come up with like the ultimate top 10 from current WTA players of like would get the most hype and most promotion, as it were. And I think it would be the current top four: Swiatek, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Coco Gauff. Throw in Osaka and Raducanu, then Ostapenko, and then Jabeur, and then the other two I'm still trying to work out. Maybe Andreeva. I'm not necessarily talking for the quality of tennis, but I'm talking about who generates conversation.
So
Andreescu.
I'm processing this in my mind, and you said the current top four, and there's never mind. Never mind. But Iga, let's just say this to be specific. If I'm making my top 10, Iga, Sabalenka, and Coco are in it, and I want Osaka, Andreescu in it as well. So that's what, 5 players right there? Yeah, 3, 4, and 5. The rest can kind of come as they are. But I want those 5.
Wow. I mean, personally, I'm all in for keeping Rebecca around for as long as possible.
There's someone in this chat who called me out anytime that I either remove Rebecca from the conversation or don't include her in the conversation. It's not that I don't want to see her be a successful tennis player. I am just not convinced yet that what we saw at Wimbledon will be repeatable. And I say this, if she doesn't, hey, I know I'm just telling her. I know I'm stomping on toes. I know people love Rebecca. I just would not.
Them, by the way.
I know. I just would not be totally surprised if she turns out to be a one slam wonder. I know winning a slam is a great thing, and she's shown that she can get back to a final, but she's also shown with losses to like Blinkova, Kirstea, to Paulini, illnesses. Like there's some things that lead me to believe that she would be a great like 10 to 20 player and like, you know, win a couple WTA 500s that she's shown that she can, and test the biggest names, because I think there's a matchup issue or like something in the matchup issue with Rebecca and Iga. I am just saying I'm not convinced that Rebecca is going to be this mainstay in the top 10 and or win another slam. Actually, if we were to ask the question that Ghosty just asked us, like how confident are we that Osaka's going to win a major? I'm more confident that Osaka's going to win a major than Rebecca will win another major. Personally, don't throw tomatoes at me. Don't throw tomatoes at me.
You may have some problems with my Wimbledon power rankings. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree that she should be in them. She should definitely be in the power rankings. Somebody said it's fine for Miles to say anything. Yes, it is, because I'm not harming anybody. I'm just saying my opinion. She should be in the conversation.
You're allowed to state your opinion. I'm allowed to argue with you when you're not.
Yes, you are. Yes, this is why we get along. Roy said Miles hates Rebecca, and he's open about it. I don't hate it. Such a strong word, guys.
I mean, look, it's interesting that you're getting attacked for Rebecca hate and not Swiatek hate.
I get attacked at all angles, Nick. It just happens. I have to be a warrior, okay?
Someone who I forgot to add into my top 10 that Schwarner has actually reminded me about, like, oh wait, no, yeah, I do want her back in the top 10. Mukova.
I'm also not convinced. Great game. Not convinced that she's going to get back to the final. This is not necessarily
about whether. This is not meant to be realistic, by the way. This is not meant to be.
Okay. Fair enough. If all of these.
Sort of, if you in an ideal world where they're all peaking and they generate and they're fat and they've got lots of fan bases and creating engagement in the game, those are the players you want.
It's almost like a WTA Avengers. Who do I want to pick to go out and like battle the world? Yes, I completely see why you would want Muhova in the top 10 based off of game style and what she can do and what she can kind of like how she can match up against some of the other names you want in the top 10. I'm just not convinced that
I'm going to say this
realistically.
This may be a controversial take, but Karolina Muchova has come closer than anyone on tour to winning a Grand Slam who hasn't won one yet.
She's come closer than Ons Jabeur?
Yeah.
In that specifically in that Iga match at Roland Garros.
Yeah, she's the only one who's been a breakup in a Grand Slam final deciding set.
I still would weigh
games away.
I still weigh the amount of times you set yourself up for that situation a little bit higher. Like, yes, she did well in that specific match, but Ons Jabeur has been to a final 3 times. So I think by my definition, I think she would be a little bit closer. But I do see your point that in that match, yes, she had ego on her heels and could have gotten the trophy that day. But even if she got the trophy that day, in my mind, I don't think that she has shown herself to be a sustainable threat, because she's in a professional sense. Sorry, this was not supposed to be the tear down. This is sorry, Mukova. Come back soon, girl, and do your best. I'll leave it at that.
I will also reply to Sean quickly in the chat. If I was picking based on who I liked, Layla would be in there in the mix as well.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Layla would be in there as well for me. I'm a little concerned that she's underpowered, but game style, grit, entertainments, like all of that, I would want Layla in there too, for sure.
This is probably going to be a very long show, but I think we do need to get back on track, and it's partly my fault for derailing it because I've gone completely off the show prep here. Let's go back to Emma Raducanu. We talked about her very briefly earlier. She is obviously someone who generates a lot of discussion, and we were talking a little bit about what might be holding her back, and there's definitely injuries are a problem for her. I don't necessarily think it's her fault, but I still hold out hope that Raducanu is going to get some good results in her career. Definition of good results there is very wide. I'm not putting my flag in the ground and saying she's definitely winning another slam, but I think that she is a name that will stay on the tour, and I could see her as she develops doing pretty well. And to be fair, this week she dismissed the players she should be dismissing, and then she ended up going up against Katie Bolter in what was actually a pretty even match. First set tiebreak was bonkers. So close. I think the only reason Bolter probably didn't win it was a couple of double faults, but Raducanu hung with her, and then she just came out a bit flat today. Bolter was firing though. Bolter came out really determined to hit through anyone on court, as we just saw in that Pliskova final that's just finished. But I think that I definitely think that there was positives to come out this week for Emma Raducanu, depending on whether or not you think she should be tussling with Katie Bolter.
I think a lot of players have a extra either chip on their shoulder or incentive to beat Raducanu. I don't think they love the fact that she came out of nowhere, won the US Open, and instantly became like a face of the WTA. I think in the locker room, I mean, just being 100, I think there are players that resent that and wish it could have been them. Not saying that that's Katie Bolter, but I can see, like, if I was in anybody's camp playing against Raducanu and I wanted my player to win, this is not like a dig or anything like that, but I'd be whispering, she's not that good, right? Like, she's not that good. She just won the US Open. Like, that's just not like, it was a 3-week thing. And I think that can put an extra oomph in how you play her. I think she's basically all of that to say is that she has a target on her back. And until like she proves that she can win a title again, that target isn't going too far. Because on her resume is still top 10 player, US Open champion. Players want to beat those players that have that on their resume, and she has it. So
Katie Bolter might have a reason to want to beat Emma though, because here's what I'm finding with talking to people who don't know tennis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to explain who Katie Bolter is, even though she's currently the top ranked Brit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Won several WTA titles. Everyone knows who Emma Raducanu is. Imagine being the top ranked player for your imagine a scenario where Coco Gauff is out for half a year, tumbles down the rankings, 200 and something in the world. And I don't know who would be a good example of an American who not many people have heard of yet.
Peyton Stearns.
Peyton Stearns got to be US number 1, like ranked kind of top 20, lower part of the top 10 before the US Open. So not really massively on the radar yet. And then she has a match in Washington, DC with Coco Gauff. And you're having to explain who Peyton Stearns is to someone when they're playing Coco Gauff. That's going to be a similar scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can totally see why the players are putting a little bit extra MPHs on their forehead when they play her. I can totally see it. And I don't think it's necessarily always personal. It's just she's the figurehead of what it means to kind of blast and bloom into success and not saying she didn't work for it, but seemingly not having to work as hard for it. And that's like the anti of what sports is kind of built around. Like sports is built around trying your best and working towards the pinnacle. And it doesn't that hasn't been the trajectory for Raducanu. So a lot of players feel like, well, damn, I've been out here going to ITF tournaments and WTA 250s, losing first, second round, and here she comes, wins the US Open and gets wild cards out the wazoo, and I have to, and you want me to play her nicely? Like, no, I'm gonna go out there.
That being said, anyone with the status of a Grand Slam champion would make any player put a few MPH on their forehand.
Yeah, they did it to Serena. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Although, having said that, Serena won a few more, but like, say, I think
Just
probably someone like Kenin or Andreescu.
Oh, that's a name we forgot to put in our WTA Avengers. I want Kenin back in the top 10 too. But yes.
Pretty sure the tennis podcast already coined WTA Avengers, but anyway.
That's where I got it from. Go Tennis Podcast.
Yes, that's right. Support the competitors, Miles. Before we move on from Raducanu, thoughts on her missing the Olympics? So she was offered a wild card spot and she's turned it down.
If I allow myself to lean into the fact that she's thinking big picture, I don't have a problem with it, because she's literally a 2000s baby. She's not even 23 yet. Realistically, she will have a good chance, not a 100% chance, but a good chance that the 2028 Olympics are going to be something she can compete in. But with that being said, it's also the Olympics, like what, a hop, skip, and a jump away from the country that you represent in England. So I would have played it just because I would have liked to play tennis in the Olympics. Like, if you boil it all down, take away the ranking points, the publicity. Like, if you love playing the game of tennis, why wouldn't you want to go play in the Olympics? Because once you leave, I think everybody that competes, whatever the sport is, you get some kind of memento that says, hey, you were an Olympian. And that's, the Olympics is kind of like the core of what sports as a whole has evolved from. So from that perspective, I don't get it. But from like the, managing your talent and looking at things from a wider lens, I get that too. So I'm somewhere in the middle. But I think Ben Rothenberg said, and he didn't sum it up. I don't think he meant to sum it up perfectly, but he said her scheduling can be kind of goofy, and it can be. So just another example of that.
Yeah, I think Peter, who's got on the comments on the live broadcast, has a point that, like, clay isn't necessarily a favorite, although she seems to be growing on it, actually. But this year it is a very disruptive surface change.
It is, yeah.
Not like previous years where you could kind of say it's hard court, so you would go to it. I agree with you about sort of, she's got a good chance of still having another opportunity to represent GB. And this might be controversial, but I don't think it's worth going to an Olympics just to say you've been to an Olympics, if just to do that and not really go there with a chance of winning a medal. If you don't believe that you're going to win a medal, don't go. That's my stance.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think there's a USA player, Christina McHale, and a couple other players just have in their bio on Instagram casually, like, Olympian, because they are. So it depends on what you value adding to your resume. Like, if Emma Raducanu goes on to host speaking engagements when she's in her 40s and 50s, it's going to be something else that you can talk about, that she was an Olympian at the 2024 Olympics in Paris. I personally would love to talk about that, but I'm also not a professional athlete looking at the schedule and trying to find the best times to peak. But like that, and that's why I boiled it down to, like, you at your very core, being a child, loving playing tennis, why wouldn't you want to go play the Olympics? It's the hugest stage, surrounded by the best athletes in the entire world from different walks of life, literally. Why wouldn't you, like, just because, like, especially because I think they offered her a wild card and she passed on it. You couldn't, like, that would be like somebody offering me a free all-inclusive paid trip to Australia. Why would I say no?
I think that it's also you're going for different reasons, right? You're not
Yeah.
necessarily going there to have fun. But with that respect, I think like, look, other people have made the same decision as well. Elise Mertens isn't going. She said she's not going, and she'd be the only person playing for Belgium. Really. I don't think there's any Belgian guys there's no Belgian guys who got in. So like literally
That's a head scratcher. I don't see
she's
why
pulling the plug on that. And obviously on the men's side, we know Ben Shelton's not going.
Again, somebody that likely, health considered will have a chance at the next Olympics, but still, I'd go and play him.
Yeah, Ben Shelton isn't going. Denis Shapovalov isn't going.
Is anybody going based off of this conversation?
No. There's a minority of players who aren't going. I mean, there's rumors swirling around about whether any of the Russian women are going.
I think there was just confirmed that Samsonova, Rublev, and Karen Khachanov are not going at all.
Not going. And there's a rumors swirling around that Kasatkina and Pavlyuchenkova have also said they don't want to go.
Rumors. We love rumors. No, we don't. Yeah, it'll be an interesting Olympics, and I would not be surprised.
It'll be an interesting Olympics for me as an Iga Swiatek fan.
Oh yeah, because you think she's going home with a gold medal. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
awesome.
I do.
That'll be great. That'll be something to add to her resume for sure.
I mean, that's what she wants to win. That's like one of her dreams to win it.
Do you think she's going to get a handwritten note from Taylor Swift if she wins that too?
I think depends if she goes to another Taylor Swift concert.
Sorry, I guess I had to mess with you.
Yeah, so that's Olympics chat. That's really kind of chat. I think, I'm not popular for my take at all, but I still think, look, if you believe you can win, and most athletes believe they can win, then go. If, on the other hand, it's like it has a negative impact on your career, you believe it's going to have a negative impact on your career, or actually your chances are pretty slim, then don't do it. And I would it's a good thing that I am not a professional athlete because I would make that decision.
Well, Angelique Kerber's going to the Olympics, and we know she doesn't really like clay, and she's going to represent Germany. So I don't know how do I mention Angelique Kerber every time we talk, Nick? It's crazy.
Because I bring this out of you. I'm asking you to soften your heart towards the 3-time Grand Slam champion.
It's softened. It's just never going to be mush. Never going to be much. Oh, there's one other player that I actually have grown soft. Well, I was already interested, but like I really saw things in her game that I liked. And I don't know if you saw any of this player play in the Netherlands, but Robin Montgomery, I believe this was her first WTA quarterfinal, and she got a pretty good win over, was it Magdalene?
Yeah, it was. It was a good win over Leonard. I caught bits of that match. Who did she lose to in that quarterfinal? Montgomery.
She lost to Alexandrova, which was not a bad loss. I mean, I watched some of that match. It was not a good match on either side. It was very, very. It was.
Alexandrova was definitely struggling by the semifinals.
Yeah, that was not a good match. But even within that terrible match that I watched, I saw wonderful parts of Montgomery's game that if she keeps developing, she would be somebody who would also be a problem on grass. The angles that she can get on that left-handed serve are ridiculous when she's playing well. And I'm also I'm partial because she's a lefty. I'm a lefty, and so but Montgomery had a really good season really good tournament, and you never know what she can take from that going forward to the rest of the season. I think she's close-ish to breaking the top 100, so maybe that's a goal for her at the end of the season.
By the way, little bit of a random tangent, but Alexandrova was actually there was a conversation about Alexandrova being the first WTA player to win 3 250s back to back in the same place, a three-peat at the same location.
No one's ever done that.
Not on the not since I've only gone back as far as 2009 because the structure was very different before that.
They were tier 3s and tier 4s. Yeah.
Because they would have been tiers 3s, 4s, and 5s back then. So from 2009, when we had what was called the international tier, and then now it's the 250, no one's ever won 3 250s in the same place consecutively. So Alexandrova would have been the first. she's missed that opportunity. The next person who's got an opportunity, Coco Gauff in Auckland.
Yay! Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna write her a message.
Go to Auckland to become the first.
Yes, let's circle that again on the calendar.
But yeah, the three-peat was almost there. Let's switch now away from Den Bosch, but still a Brit. Katie Boulter just won, as we were broadcasting, the title in Nottingham. And yeah, looking very good. Again, defending the title. Has to be said, though, Nottingham traditionally not always the best reflection of who's going to do well at Wimbledon. Up until Katie Boulter won it last year, the Nottingham champion had never made it past the second round of Wimbledon.
What were her results like last year at Wimbledon, Katie Boulter?
Third round.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't far off fourth, I don't think, but yeah, I don't remember the match very well. But yeah, so she might break the Nottingham curse, but certainly out of all the grass court tournaments that currently exist, the winners have generally had the weaker results, which is weird to me. But then again, maybe it's to do with the fields who've traditionally gone, but Nottingham this year has been a stronger field. Yeah,
it was her field of like getting to the championship was much stronger than it was last year. So I'm impressed with Katie Boulter, especially because she looked. Excuse me. I wouldn't say well. I guess it's fair. I think she would even agree that after that Raducanu semifinal that she played today, she looked a little tired and gassed. Because that match was over a couple of days and it probably was extra stressful because she was playing a compatriot, and then turning back around and beat somebody like Pliskova's caliber. Even though I'm giving Pliskova a lot there. Yeah, that's good for Katie Boulter. Along with the title in San Diego that she got earlier this year, which was the WTA 500, I believe. That's right. This is right on track for being the best season of her career. So you never know what's going to happen when she gets the energy of the crowd at Wimbledon. So I mean, when you're making your power rankings, don't forget about her.
I'm definitely not forgetting about her. She's going to be there. She's going to be on the list. It's somewhere, but maybe I don't know if she'll make top 10, but she's in consideration at the minute. And look, she has done well. She's gone toe-to-toe with players who have significant CVs, Raducanu and Pliskova, and still continue to do that on tour. Like obviously she's been Pliskova at Wimbledon. I believe she had a good tussle with Sabalenka one year at Wimbledon as well. And even before, she's grown in confidence in her game. So yeah, I think, and now she's by defending her points, she's giving herself a really good chance of being seeded in at Wimbledon, which she was in danger of not being had she lost the points. So, that's going to help with her draw a lot. But
I like her, and I also know that she doesn't play with she's one of the rare WTA players that doesn't play with the vibration dampener. Don't tell me why I noticed that today, but I did notice it. So I think that makes it a little bit interesting.
Yeah. Actually, quite a few Brits made a splash in Nottingham. And actually, if you are British and you haven't been to Nottingham, well worth considering going, because that seems to be where the Brits do seem to descend on it, because Francesca Jones made the quarterfinals.
Oh yes, I was so looking forward to that match. She was supposed to play with Raducanu because she has a very interesting story. I don't 100% get the announcement she made about pulling out for other events because her ranking
shoulder injury.
Oh, was it an actual injury? I think from her statement, she said she didn't want to risk getting something, not that she already had something.
The reason why her ranking's so low is because she's been battling injuries. So
okay. But yeah, I was. Who did she beat to get to that round?
It was an American. It was
Kruger. Don't tell me Kruger, Ashton Kruger, another player who I have my eyes kind of on in the grass court season because she won a 125 challenger last year on grass ahead of Wimbledon, and her game could be suited for the surface very well too. But yeah, I was looking forward to that. But I think Francesca's gonna get a wild card into at least the qualifying of Wimbledon, right? If not the actual main draw.
Yeah, she should be getting that with that kind of run.
Yeah, she should.
It was Naffa Raducanu 3 years ago.
3 years ago, a time.
Yeah. Other players, Heather Watson, I think she had a fun match as well. She went kind of toe-to-toe with a couple of different people there. If I remember rightly, who did she lose to? She lost to no, sorry, that's who she's playing in the first round of Birmingham. She lost to Pliskova.
Yeah, I was gonna
They
guess
were
it was
exchanging
Pliskova.
breaks.
Heather Watson, yeah, she has a pretty decent grass court pedigree, and then another player with a more than decent grass court pedigree put together, some good wins, but she should be winning these matches at a 250 level. And I'm talking about Ons Jabeur, who I think is going to make everybody's top 10, most people's top 10 rankings or, betting favorites to win Wimbledon, even though her season hasn't been the brightest. But the last 2 months or so, she's been putting together more wins than losses. I really wish she would have stayed with Lotto because I don't understand this kit. It's not my favorite, but that's besides the point. Her tennis looks good, and we've talked earlier about how disruptive variety can be on the grass. She has 2 Wimbledon finals underneath her CV, as you say. So yeah, I was mildly impressed with Miss Ons Jabeur.
And it was actually a really good match with Pliskova.
It was.
It was a exhibition of the 2 different ways of doing grass court tennis, as we talked about very early on in this podcast, about an hour ago. Pliskova obviously big serve, big flat strokes with Ons Jabeur, who also hits flat, but has all this crazy variety. Variety, drop shot, slice. And I think that was quite fun to watch. I don't know if she was fully switched on during that Pliskova match, but which kind of halted her, maybe has halted her momentum a bit from Roland Garros. But as you've been alluding to, I don't think you can ever rule her out in any grass court match or tournament against anyone. And you definitely shouldn't definitively rule her out from reaching another Wimbledon final.
Would agree. I just hope she doesn't wear black if she gets to the final when she's warming up, because if that wasn't indicative of where her brain was at the time, I don't know what else is.
Was that last year's final?
Literally last year's final, yeah.
I didn't see it. Famous story from last year. I actually only saw the last set of the Wimbledon final last year because I was at a bachelor party.
Oh, we like bachelor parties.
During it.
But no, she wore black to warm up on center court, or she tried to warm up on center court wearing black, and everybody was like, "You've been in this tournament for 2 weeks now. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully she gets it together.
I would hope so too. Someone else who is maybe hoping to get things together, Jessica Pegula, out very early on in Rajmarlin. Miles does not want to discuss Jessica Pegula.
No, that's just that. The thing I just did is kind of where I see her trajectory going from now on. Sorry, Pegula fans.
You think that this is the beginning of the end for Jessica Pegula?
I do. Yes, I do. I think she'll like, her game is pretty repeatable and solid. She's going to be a tough out, like she said, but I just don't see the it'll take a draw opening up like never before for me to see her getting past that quarterfinal stage. I just can't see it. So if she doesn't, if that doesn't increase, then yeah, her trajectory is going down. Sorry, Pegula.
I feel like Jessica Pegula, if she hears that, is going to be the kind of person who cracks open a beer and decides to prove you wrong.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely going to take it personally and probably win the Olympics and the U.S. Open. But that's just how I feel at the moment. I will eat my words if she turns up and gets to like world number 1 by the end of the season. I'll eat my words.
Well, number 1, maybe not, but
that's a stretch.
The reason why I made that statement is the reason why I made that statement was more, I actually do believe that Pegula's got another run in her somewhere. Just more of that, hey, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to do it once. I'm going to show you, and then maybe you'll shut up type of attitude. And I don't know. I think she's good enough to have that huge peak, maybe one off again. But at the minute, I see where you're coming from in that her season's stuttering a bit and it needs to kind of get into life.
Hmm. We'll see. And she does have quarterfinal points to defend at Wimbledon too. So,
well, before I think it's time we started previewing things, but before we do that, I'm going to go back to the
oh, I
Brits.
forgot we have some 500s to talk about.
We do coming up, yeah. But before I do that, because let's face it, the 500 are going to overshadow things. And I know you're an American, but I'm hoping
you know that, Nick?
I something about you, I don't know, just made me make an assumption here. Maybe it's the 6-hour time difference.
Yes.
The Brits, the reason why I was going through the Brits, another Brit who did a good job was Harriet Dart, who really went toe to toe with Katie Bolter very early on.
And I don't think they're very friendly either. There's something going on.
No, I got that sense.
Because somebody earlier in the chat said the handshake with Katie Bolter and Emma Raducanu wasn't that, you know.
Maybe Katie feels more Australian.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm all for it, Katie.
Because all the big names are going to get back in the spotlight after the 500s coming up, particularly Berlin. Which Brit has the best chance of going the furthest at Wimbledon in the women's draw? So Bolter, Raducanu, Jones, Watson, Dart, they're probably going to be in the draw. I mean, Watson, I think Dart
at Wimbledon or Berlin?
Wimbledon, because none of them are playing Berlin. They're all playing Birmingham. Bolter's going to be seeded. Raducanu, I would be shocked if she didn't get a wild card. Dart will need a wild card, but she's top 100 now, so she should get one. Like all the other Brits will need a wild card to be in the draw, so we don't 100% know they're in, but I would be shocked if they weren't. But Bolter is definitely going to be in.
Yeah, Bolter's going the furthest. Yeah, she's going the furthest.
Out of all the Brits?
Out of all the Brits. Probably male or female.
Okay. Oh. More faith in Katie than Jack Draper?
At the moment. Yeah, they both won titles, but I have more faith in Katie Bolter. Yes, I do.
I can see, yeah. With Bolter having a bit of an easy, won't having to deal with a seed, unlike other Brits. Yeah, I can see where you get that from. I still have a sneaking suspicion Emma might do something, but they might get similar distance. Very depends on her draw.
You having a sneaky suspicion that Emma's going to do something is definitely a British bias. But it's okay, because I have my American biases. It's completely fine.
I mean, look, I don't have a sneaky suspicion that any other Brit's going to do something, but...
Francesca Jones is listening to this, and she's like, you just wait. You just wait.
Bring it on, Francesca. I'd love to see it. Like, everyone would absolutely love to see it. I'll be cheering you on loudly, maybe even from Wimbledon, because I am going this year. But
hey,
I'll be there for 3 days. I guess, of course, slightly tongue-in-cheek here, but maybe Bolter's chances at Wimbledon might depend on de Minaur's, given they always need to peak at the same time.
Yeah. I think they're both going to be running for a good Wimbledon regardless. And I think they're going to be pushing each other. Yeah. So if one loses early, the other one's going to be right in that corner. So I like that about them.
All right.
On to Berlin.
Berlin. I think so. Right. Berlin, stacked draw.
Yeah.
Even when Swiatek pulled out, we've still got 9 of the top 10 playing.
That's a beautiful picture of Berlin. Yeah.
It's actually pretty good. It does make me want to check the place out, actually.
Same.
By the way, we actually do have a team in Berlin. Mario is going to be there. Yeah, he's going to be bringing us great behind the scene content from Berlin, and John's going to be in Halle. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of content these guys produce. But yeah, Mario is going to be covering Berlin for us, which I'm excited for. Would you say that Berlin is going to be the best indicator for Wimbledon form?
Yes, I do. I would say that, but I also wouldn't be surprised if none of the women that when the lead up tournaments actually win Wimbledon. Because
Well,
it
look,
just
you've probably seen this stat, right? I think JI shared it. It's been 20 years since anyone won Wimbledon after winning a lead-up tournament, and that was Maria Sharapova.
Sharapova, yeah, that's crazy. But it is 2024 again, and sometimes things have a way of repeating themselves in ways that are symmetrical, I guess. But yeah, I do think whoever comes out on Berlin has to be feeling good compared to anybody else that plays any other tournament, because this draw is stacked. I know Eastbourne is going to be a 500, but it's not going to have the same level of competition. It normally
No,
doesn't.
not in the same way. No, I think I think who's going? I think Rabakina's going to Eastbourne. Collins is going to Eastbourne. Osaka's at Eastbourne. Yeah, it's
What if Rabakina wins Berlin? Is she going to go to Eastbourne and do
probably
that
not.
5?
I would hope not, right? Because that's not smart scheduling there. She hopefully will have learned
She
from
didn't
Australia.
learn. Yeah, I was going to say she did learn from Australia, because Blinka will be waiting for her.
Imagine if Blinker was in Rabakina's section again. Yeah, but like for me, Berlin is definitely that. If you look at the last couple of years, all the people who, and especially last year, all the people who've been going deep at Wimbledon played Berlin. Like played Berlin, won a match in Berlin. Like Waikato Vondrousova got to the quarters in Berlin last year, which probably should have been an early indicator of something, but we kind of went, it's Vondrousova.
Yes. Is she back in the draw here? Yes, she is.
Yes,
She is. Yeah, she is.
But yes, so I think partly for the field and partly for maybe the conditions are pretty good. Maybe it's like that rest period before Wimbledon. Berlin should be there. So are you looking at the draw now?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Really, it really is stacked. Like even the seeded players, Coco Golf, or the seeded players with buys, Coco Golf, Pagula, Rabakina, Sabalenka, all of them have dangerous opponents in their first matchups. So yeah, it'll be something to watch for sure. Wish I had a ticket.
Yeah, I'm seriously considering going next year now. It just did not work out this year. But
maybe that'll be the year that Iga goes, because I think she's been saying she's going to go for some years now.
Like, yeah, a few years now.
She hasn't gone.
Do you think it's a mistake that Iga's not playing a grass court lead-up tournament?
Didn't she do the same thing last year?
No, she played Bad Homburg, got to the semis, and then pulled out the semis.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's okay. It's fine. She's played a lot of tennis. Like, I know the surface is going to change some things, but she's won a lot of tennis matches this year, and I doubt that she's just gonna just lose one just because it's grass,
Yeah, I completely see
or lose the opening one. Like or the opening two rather. Unless she has a really terrible draw, I find it highly unlikely that she doesn't work her way into the draw some way. Somehow.
If she has an Australian Open style draw.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you. I think she's too good for the surface change to bother her that much. And
somebody clip this.
But she, yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the end of the world. I would have preferred her to get the feel for it, but yeah, she played a lot of matches on clay, and yeah, that we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, grass the surface that we're expecting to develop on, but it is possible to play all right without doing a lead up. I mean, Ash Barty did it, but the players who tend to win Wimbledon and play Wimbledon without doing a warm up generally are much more comfortable on grass, and that's some kind of all time great. But we'll have to, I guess, Swiatek's edging into that category.
She is.
But yeah, mistake. Swiatek, maybe not a mistake. Who knows? It's definitely not the right thing to do this year.
Yeah, she should be attending more concerts.
Hey, look, I recommend that to most people, right?
Right? No, literally.
You
should.
Not Taylor Swift specifically.
Yeah, just concerts in general. Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, get some live music in your life. It's really good. It's therapeutic.
By the way, yes. When we talk about Osaka and we talk about big wins, like Clef has up in the chat identified Zhang Osaka in the opening round. I think that's Osaka's for the taking.
What is that a rematch of? When did they? Oh, they played in Rome, didn't they? They played in Rome, I think. Yeah. That'll be interesting. I think everywhere Osaka plays from now until she wins her next Grand Slam title is going to be interesting. I think Haddad Maya and Alexandrova, the winner of that takes on Coco Golf. That could very much be interesting. I think
But
Noskova.
tough opener for Coco either way.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And at least that's a match that she should be on high alert either way, but that's a match she should be on high alert for.
When I was doing my bracket and I got to that match like very early on, it took me a good 2 or 3 minutes to decide which way I thought that one was going to go.
That if the winner of Haddad Maya Alexandra could beat Coco?
Yes.
Oh, that's not happening in my fantasy draw. But
Oh no, I didn't go for that either. I went for Coco win, but I went for Coco. But I think I was very close to not doing that.
I feel you. And then Ons Jabeur is literally somebody she'd have to face in the potential semi if Ons Jabeur gets that far. Pegula's right there as well. Vekic is a former finalist just last year. And Vekic could play Pegula in the second round.
Right.
Sakari and Azarenka is a very interesting first round match for a 500.
Yeah. Wait, who's got Sakari got?
Azarenka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm backing Azarenka for that one.
Me too. Azarenka has proven that she's much more comfortable throughout her career on grass than Sakari ever has. Arantxa Rus got a lucky loser position? And then, okay, interesting. That's like negate that. Kudermetova Samsonova is also a very, very interesting first round match. And then the winner of that gets Rybakina. That's interesting. Yeah, those are the most interesting. And then Marta Kostyuk could be a potential opponent for Sabalenka, as could Daria Kasatkina. So yeah, there's all the top players that you really want to see rounding into form for Wimbledon should all be tested in Berlin this week.
Yeah. Having said that, surely the title favorites have to be Coco, Arena, or Elena.
Yeah,
maybe Ons in the mix.
Would agree. But then there's also Jewel Niemeyer looking and lurking, just waiting to have her moment.
Samsonova style.
Yes.
2021.
Because the defending champion is Kvitova. The champion before that was Ons, and that was a retirement in the final against Belinda Bencic, I do believe.
Yeah.
2022. And then the winner before that was Samsonova.
Also beating Bencic.
Yeah. And that's the only 3 years Berlin is in a grass court tournament on the calendar. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a winner and that we were like, oh, didn't kind of sort of see that happening.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I am going to have to be in the office all day tomorrow, so I am going to be missing the bonkers first round that's going to be taking place. So I hope everyone who can watch enjoys watching it. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to Berlin as a tournament. Sean is thinking Samsonova will beat Rybakina. Judging by head to head, yeah. But that assumes Samsonova's getting through her first round match.
With Alexandrova, yeah, that's a tough one too.
No, it's Kudermetova, I think.
It's Alex. Oh, yeah, because Alexandrova was playing Haddad Maya. Yeah.
The top half of the draw.
You're right.
Yeah. So yeah, if it is Samsonova Rybakina, yeah, Samsonova's the favorite because the head to head. But
did you get a chance to look at the other 250 to second place next week in
I was going to ask you about that. Birmingham, yes. So obviously not so many big names here. There are 4 Grand Slam champions playing. Top 2 seeds are Ostapenko and Krejcikova, who are the top 2 seeds from last year as well. And also we have Sloane Stephens and Caroline Wozniacki in the draw.
I feel like Wozniacki hasn't played a match in forever.
Yeah, it's been a while. Leila Fernandez is also in the draw, which will be fun. But yeah, and then obviously Katie Bolter's seeded. She's seeded 4th, I think. And yeah, a few other Brits are going along. So I think Watson and Dart are playing. So yeah, solid 250 draw, especially if you're a Brit.
Yeah, I would buy a ticket for that too. Only thing is missing is Venus Williams from last year.
Yeah, where is Venus right now?
I think she's quietly retiring because there's no way she would just not make any kind of statement for this particular season. I hate that. I hate that I think that, but that's what I think. So
Because it doesn't look like she's playing Wimbledon, is she? She's not playing.
there's no indication that she's even touched a tennis racket in the past couple of months. Like the which I mean, for all intents and purposes, that's normal because she's like 42 or 43. Like that's completely fine. I just wish she would say something, but I don't think she's played a match since Miami. She lost to Diana Schneider, so I don't think she's played a match since Miami.
Wow. Okay, but yeah, any stories you think are going to come out of Birmingham to watch in Birmingham?
Yeah, let's look out for Alya Tomljanovic. She plays Blinkova first round.
Okay, yeah, that's a fun
Sorry,
first round of any tournament.
I had to do it. Yeah, I think that really is a good, interesting first round, and then the winner of that could possibly play Kirstea. So there's some room in that little small section of the draw for somebody to make a good run. But Ostapenko is a defending champion here, correct?
Yes, she is.
So, and I think she likes a grass court. She plays Cartieto first round. Cartieto doesn't really have much firepower, but then again, Ostapenko can like fire herself off the court. So yeah, there's room in pretty much every section of this 250 for somebody to get some form on the grass and see what happens. But then again, but the 20 years ago, this was the tournament that Sharapova won. Yeah, so who knows? We might be looking at a future Wimbledon star.
Also, this will be the last year that's a 250.
Oh, it's going to be 500 next year?
No, it's downgrading.
Oh, yikes.
It's downgrading and being moved to the same week to where Surbiton was. So it's getting moved.
That's because the Queen's Club is going to be a WTA 500 tournament, right? Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then
but it's not going to be it's not going to be simultaneous, right? Because there's not enough space. It's just going to be the week after.
No. So basically, Queen's is going to be the week straight after the French Open for the women, and then the guys are going to follow.
Interesting.
The week after.
Swarna said this is a meaningless tournament. I don't know if somebody goes deep here and then we see them in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, it won't be that meaningless.
No, definitely not. I can see why he's saying that because obviously the top players aren't there, but it is Berlin that's going to get most of the attention.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that about wraps it up, doesn't it, Miles?
I feel like I've talked a lot of grass court tennis with you today, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks to everyone who sent in ideas for stuff on Twitter. We didn't necessarily get to all of them because otherwise this podcast would have been 2 hours long, and we're getting very close to that already. But thanks everyone who's kind of stuck around. I know we had a few people joining about halfway through, about an hour ago. So feel free to wind back and watch the beginning of it where we talk about a bit more about Andreescu and Samsonova. But yeah, very, very excited for this. And I hope that you're going to enjoy the rest of the grass court season, Miles.
This is my favorite season. Well, yeah, it's my favorite season of the year. One of, for sure. So I am all eyes into the grass, even if I can't see the ball sometimes. I'm still watching.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. Although I am grass court because of nostalgia and because I grew up with it. But I also do prefer grass courts.
One of the most impactful tournaments in me even watching tennis was Wimbledon. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm sure I have some Wimbledon DVDs or VHS tapes somewhere around me at this moment. Thanks, Grandpa. But yeah, I am looking forward to more grass court tennis, and I am super excited to see what random player is going to win Wimbledon trophy this year. I'm so excited.
That seems to be the direction you're going, but who knows? Maybe things are going to be a bit more stable, and maybe it'll be one of the people from Berlin. We are going to have people, as we said, we've got Mario on the ground in Berlin. He'll be bringing you loads of content from the tournament next week. So keep an eye on the channel for anything, for interviews, press conferences, updates from Berlin, and maybe even some watch-alongs as well at some point this week. Obviously, there are tournaments happening on the ATP side as well in Queen's Club and Halle. John is in Halle, so he'll be bringing us coverage from there, and it's going to be fantastic opportunity to follow behind the scenes on tennis.
One more thing before we go quickly, there's a WTA Challenger 125K in Gaiba, Italy.
Yeah.
I mentioned the champion last year was Ashlyn Kruger. I'm quickly trying to find out if there's any notable names in the draw. If my
Which is
phone
it
was
a grass court challenge or a clay court challenge?
it's grass. It's grass. It's outdoor grass
There's
in
also
Italy.
a WTA ITF event happening in Ilkley.
Yeah, but that's also that's a challenger for men, right?
Yeah, it's
Challenge,
ITF.
challenger for the men, ITF for the women. But
Yeah.
this in Italy, in Gaiba, Italy, or Gaiba, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is a WTA 125. Tatiana Maria is in there. Erica Andreeva, the older Andreeva sister.
Oh
Alicia
yeah, Mira's
Park.
playing Birmingham.
Mira Andreeva's playing in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good name to look out for. Robin Montgomery, who we mentioned earlier, is going to be in this 125K. Sarah Arani, and yeah, it's pretty. Oh, and Alison Van Uytvanck, who always makes herself known a little bit more on the grass court season. So yeah,
As she did. She won the last tournament in Surbiton,
yep.
which will be the last ever probably Surbiton trophy. But anyway, maybe, or at least last for a while. Right. Thanks for coming on, Miles. I've plugged all of our content coming in. Keep an eye out for any watch-alongs. We do have ATP Weekly coming later tonight with Damien and Vanch, which will be covering all the stories from Stuttgart and the Netherlands, maybe even the Nottingham Challenger. Who knows? And then we'll be kind of hoping you bring you some watch-alongs. And WTA Weekly will be back next week. Where we'll kind of debrief on all the things that happen in Berlin and Birmingham. And keep an eye out on the channel, for I will soon be releasing my initial power ranking for Wimbledon.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Also, if you're listening to this, make sure to follow me on social media, Tuned Into Tennis. You can follow me regardless of who your favorite player is. If it's Iga Swiatek, if it's Rybakina, if it's Novak Djokovic, I'm a fun follow. Follow me on social media, Tuned Into Tennis. I would appreciate it.
I already follow him, so can recommend. Right, I'm going to try and sign off now. I'll speak to you soon on WTA Weekly next week. But until then, take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.